This is Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert, a NASCAR podcast. Talladega! What an awesome time picking back up the Cup Series action after the Easter break in good old Sweet Home, Alabama. ARCA, Xfinity, and Cup Series will all be gearing up for a fast, fun weekend. Storylines going into Dega for ARCA. Brenden Butterbean Queen is first in the ARCA standings after winning in Daytona and finishing second in Phoenix. Can Queen get his second win of the season, or will a Venturini Motorsports car of Jake Finch or Lawless Allen shine? Xfinity, could the Richard Childress Racing duo of Jesse Love or Austin Hill get the job done? Could it be an Aric Almirola or a Jeb Burton stealing the show? Cup Series, would it be one of the drivers on a hot streak already this season? Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, William Byron, or could a driver towards the bottom of the standings like a Brad Keselowski, Daniel Suárez, put themselves in victory lane? Exciting interviews with Jeb Burton and Jesse Iwuji previewing Talladega, plus discussions with Dave, Fast Davey's bets, predictions for Texas, and so much more on this episode of Splash of Gas. As always, we're sponsored by Magical Travel with Dave, aka Disney Dave Weichert, my father. He'll be able to help you with all your Disney and Universal vacation needs. He can be reached at DisneyDaveW@Verizon.net. Please make sure you follow all the social medias. Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube are all Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert. Before we get right into the race recaps, we bring on our first guest of the show, someone who knows Dega all too well, Jeb Burton. Spoke to Jeb 2 days before qualifying last week. Jeb is from the Burton racing family that has a strong racing history. Father Ward Burton won the 2002 Daytona 500. Uncle Jeff Burton has 23 Cup Series wins. And cousin Harrison, who races in the Xfinity Series as well this season, won the Summer Cup Series race at Daytona last year for Wood Brothers. Jeb himself has 2 career Xfinity wins, both at Talladega. Here's what Jeb had to say about his top 10 performance in Rockingham and how he's feeling for Dega. Have driver of the 27 for Jordan Anderson Racing in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, Jeb Burton. Pleasure to be talking to you again, Jeb. Last weekend you were back at Rockingham, got stage points at the end of stage 1, same with stage 2, finishing second there, racing against Dean Thompson. We saw how wild things got in the final stage. How did you get through all the yellows, ultimately to an 8th place finish?
Yeah, it was a pretty solid day for us. Spun my tires a little bit on the one stage that I finished second on, or we would have won that. We needed one more lap, and I think I would have blew by the 26, so that was unfortunate. We gave that to them. But still a good points day for us, and we scored the most points, and at the end we were just hanging on. We had people with new tires coming on behind us, so just closed out a solid day, and now we got a little bit of momentum and heading to Talladega, and hopefully we can go get some stage points and be in contention there as well.
Awesome. I appreciate you breaking down the stages there. It's been a while since NASCAR has been back to the Rock. You ran there in the past in the trucks prior to the repave, winning the pole in 2013. Sure looks fast out there on the new asphalt. How much did that change the track, did you think?
Yeah, the asphalt definitely changed the track big time. I think it just made a lot of grip and a lot more speed compared to what the old track was, but it's still Rockingham. You know, you're moving around a little bit. It turned into 2 lanes for us. Mainly the bottom was more dominant, but you could move up. So that place will get worn out in a couple of years and get kind of back to what it was. But just glad to be back there. A lot of fans, a lot of excitement, and just a cool racetrack. So going to definitely be looking forward to getting back there next as well.
Awesome. Yeah, it was great that they sold out on Saturday. Looking ahead to this weekend at Talladega, you've had a lot of success there, winning in 21 and in 23, amassing 6 top 10s as well. Last time we were speaking 2 500s ago, you mentioned how you enjoy super speedway racing during the day. Saw that in person during the Daytona summer race in 21, where you were in that close P4 finish in the 10. What about day races in Dega that spells success for you?
I just think that Talladega has just always been a really good track for me, but Daytona and Talladega definitely race a little bit different, and Talladega has seemed to fit me a little bit better. And I think just because the track's a little bit wider, a little bit more room to do things. So, look, I've had good statistics at Talladega and Daytona, but Talladega a little bit better, and hoping we can go get our 3rd trophy this weekend from that place.
Heck yeah, we'll be rooting you on for sure. We know qualifying on the bigger tracks doesn't always hold that much weight. Both races in Alabama last year, you started outside the top 15 and would get top 10 finishes in both. I'm sure some of it has to do with experience, but how are you always able to work your way up through the draft?
Last year in qualifying, both times we had a problem the first race with the motor issue, and then the second race, I believe that it rained qualifying out or something. Anyway, but I don't know. I just kind of knacked for driving up through there, and both races last time we had a lot of damage on our car, and we still finished 7th and 9th. So I think if our car would have been cleaner at those two, we would have had a shot to win, and those 2 wrecks wasn't our fault that we got in. So just got to have all the fenders on it, and we'll have a shot at the end. I think there's definitely going to be a lot of wrecks, a lot of people in desperation mode, and I'm just excited to get there. I always love going there. A lot of energy, a lot of cool fans, and just ready for that last stage and those last coming laps. It's a lot of fun, and hopefully our car will be fast enough to be able to control the race. Our car hasn't been fast enough to do that since we won. We've been fast, but we hadn't been good enough to dominate. And to win those races, you need a car that's really good. So hopefully we've made the right adjustments and we can make our car really good again.
Awesome. Appreciate you touching on Talladega. You and the 27 team have found some consistency so far this season and find yourselves 11th in the standings after Rockingham. I know the easy answer is a win, but how are you going to get the 27 in the playoffs again for George and Anderson?
We're definitely getting better. We need more speed for sure, though. We need to keep making our cars better. And we just keep capitalizing on others' mistakes. That's what we're going to have to keep doing to make it and keep making our cars better. We've got to race really smart, and we can't afford any mistakes. So we need to take full advantage of every opportunity given to us to get stage points and maximize our finishes for every single position every single week. And, we need to get through the next, I would say, 15 races. And then we'll have a really good shot of being right there in, So that's what we need to do. These next 14, 15 races, there's a couple really good tracks for us, and there's a couple tracks that not so much. So we just got to not make any mistakes, not have any mechanical failures, and just outsmart these guys, because a lot of them have more funding and more resources than we do that we're ahead of in points. And we're not going to close that whole gap, but we just got to outsmart them.
Gotcha. Sounds like you got a good plan to execute on for the rest of the regular season. Really appreciate your time, Jeb. And again, best of luck in Talladega, all right?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yep. See ya.
Super appreciative for Jeb joining the podcast, and so cool to hear from him breaking down Rockingham and what he's looking for Talladega. Now for trivia time. This week's question is, NASCAR comes to the high banks of Talladega twice each season. Who is the last driver to win both Talladega races in a season? Answer at the end. Now for the ARCA recap. ARCA would be leading the charge on Saturday for a planned green flag of 11:30 local time. After qualifying, William Byron in the Joe Gibbs 18 car would be on the pole, followed by Lawless Allen in the 20. After several green flag laps, the field will go single file, with Jake Finch, Byron, and Allen taking turns with the lead. The first yellow would fly on lap 26, after contact between Spencer Gallagher and Daytona's winner, Brenden Queen. There would be a planned caution on lap 37. The second half of the race would be littered with yellows. A hard hit with 10 laps to go would be taken by Cody Dennison. Another late wreck would push the race into a one-lap overtime. Lawless Allen would still be controlling the lead, with Thad Moffitt next to him on the front row. Andy Jankowiak would be ready to pounce in the second row. On the first corner of the overtime, there would be a wreck in the middle of the field, ending the race under yellow. When the yellow flew, Moffitt and Allen were door to door. Who was in front? NASCAR would rule that Lawless Allen was, and he gets his first win at the ARCA level. Richard Petty's grandson, Thad Moffitt, though deflated, finishes in second, but is his best ARCA finish to date. Isabella Robusto, teammates with Lawless Allen, who finished third, makes history herself as she becomes the highest finishing female ever at Talladega Superspeedway. For those paying attention for YouTuber Cletus McFarland, he gets his first top 10 in his second ARCA race. Please watch his on-track interviews if you want to laugh. Now for the Xfinity recap. Xfinity would get underway after the ARCA race on Saturday. It wouldn't take long for the Richard Childress racing cars of Jesse Love and Austin Hill to show speed. Love would be on the pole, followed by Hill. Shout out to Joey Gase, who qualified fourth. Stage 1 would stay green. As expected, Love and Hill would take control up front, first and second. Some would jump lanes with 5 laps to go in Stage 1, but Jesse Love would stay true and win the first stage, followed by teammate Hill. All would pit. Jesse Love and Christian Eckes would be the quickest off pit road and restart the field for the second stage. Stage 2 would stay green as well. Christian Eckes would jump up to the lead early. Jeb Burton then would assume the lead in the 27. As the laps of the second stage counted down, the intensity would get cranked up. Austin Hill in the dominant 21 would then take control and win the second stage. Mentioned the intensity could be felt during the closing laps of Stage 2 that would get cranked up even more for the final stage. Jesse Love and Aric Almirola would restart after Austin Hill elected to start behind Jesse Love on the second row. Love would take control with the top 6 running single file. On lap 67, Brandon Jones would move to the outer lane from the 4th spot, moving into the 3rd, and he would start the battle Austin Hill for 2nd. 2 laps later, Hill, Love, Jeb Burton, and 6 others would start the final pit cycle. On lap 79, after pitting, Jeb Burton would get into the back of Sammy Smith, sending Sammy spinning. This would bring out the yellow. Sheldon Creed and Brandon Jones would restart the pack back to green. Jones would have control until Love and Connor Zilisch would pass him. Then on lap 100, Austin Hill would make a surge and take the lead over from Connor Zilisch. The second to last yellow would fly a lap later for a 4-car incident involving Almirola, Catherine Legg, Jeffrey Earnhardt, and Brandon Jones. With 6 laps to go, Hill and Connor Zilisch would restart. Working his way up after getting into Sammy Smith, Jeb Burton would be surging in the final laps. As the white flag would fly indicating 1 to go, Jeb Burton would shoot to the inside to battle Connor Zilisch for the lead into turn 1. Connor would get turned on the backstretch trying to block Jesse Love. The yellow is called as Burton, Austin Hill, and Jesse Love are 3 wide. After a lengthy review, NASCAR declared that Austin Hill was in the lead, giving him the win, Jeb Burton second, and Jesse Love third. A little disappointed with NASCAR throwing the yellow with the wreck on the backstretch. We'll talk more about that on Discussions with Dave. Cup Series would get the party back going in Alabama on Sunday afternoon. Even heard Sasquatch was going to be attending for the Jack Links 500 from Talladega, Alabama. After qualifying, Zane Smith would be on the pole. This is Smith's first pole at the Cup level. Once the green flag would drop, we saw 3 and 4 wide racing. A mix of Michael McDowell, Ryan Preece, Zane Smith, and Josh Berry would take turns up front. Things would start to calm down as we would inch closer to green flag pit stops. The inside lane would be single file for about 5 to 6 car lengths, where the outside lane would then pick up. Toyotas would be leading the charge with Chase Briscoe in the 19 picking up the lead. The first group of 13 cars would come to pit road for fuel starting on lap 41. Briscoe, who was leading coming to the pits, was slow leaving his pit box and lose all of his track position. 2 laps later, the first yellow would fly when miscommunication coming to pit road would lead for a wreck involving Ryan Blaney, Brad Keselowski, and Kyle Busch. The pack would restart with 9 laps to go in stage 1, with Christopher Bell and Chris Buescher up front. They wouldn't even make it 1 lap. Too much on a push from Denny Hamlin on the outside would send Christopher Bell into the wall, taking out Buescher. Thankfully, the 2 were okay. Hamlin and Bubba Wallace would restart with 5 laps to go in the stage. After 3 wide racing, Kyle Larson would win the first stage. After staying out, Anthony Alfredo and William Byron would bring the field back to green for the second stage. Alfredo, Suárez, and Chastain would all take turns at the lead as the field would go 3 wide. The pack would be able to coordinate the pit stops in the second stage, and it would stay green completely. Some would pit with 4 laps to go in the stage for track position to start the final stage. Bubba Wallace would go on to win stage 2. Toyotas of Chase Briscoe and Ty Gibbs would restart on the front row for the final stage with 62 laps to go. What would happen? Ty would take control early on. As the field would tick off the laps, the front 7 or 8 cars would be single file until the second row would kick in. With 27 to go, Joey Logano would take the lead from Ty Gibbs. The first round of green flag pit stops would start with 24 laps to go, and with mainly Toyotas plus the Chevy of Carson Hocevar on the first group of pit stops. The final group would pit with 17 to go. The number 2 of Austin Cindric would assume the lead once the final pit cycle was complete. Cindric and William Byron would be door-to-door on the front row with 10 laps to go. Ryan Preece would pass Byron for second. Cindric and Preece would be door-to-door 3 laps to go. The 2 would be getting big pushes from behind them as they would each take swings at the lead. Final time through the tri-oval, it would be neck and neck. Austin Cindric would prevail on the bottom line and would win by a hood over Ryan Preece. Truly exciting racing throughout the final stage. A quick look back at the predictions, and holy cow, don't think I'll ever be able to do this again, but got all 3 race winners for Talladega correct. ARCA went with Lawless Allen. He wins in overtime. Xfinity picked Austin Hill. He wins by a nose. Cup Series tapped Cindric. He wins by a hood. See if we can keep the momentum going into Texas. Now for yellow flag, green flag. Yellow flag, ARCA. Hard hit for Cody Dennison in the 9. He races at the ARCA level and has been in a number of truck races this year. Just has been bit by bad luck this season. Feel like he's crashing almost every race. Hope he can turn it around. Green flag, ARCA. Her teammate Lawless Allen gets the win. But green flag to Isabella Robusto with her 3rd place finish. It is the best for a female ever at Talladega. Congratulations. Yellow flag, Xfinity. NASCAR, dang yellow at the end with Hill, Burton, and Love 3 wide. With that poled yellow, they stole a fantastic finish from us. Green flag, Xfinity. Richard Childress Racing, just flat out dominant. Love on the pole. Hill wins the race with Jesse Love finishing 3rd. Yellow flag, Cup Series. Unfortunately, another yellow flag for Brad Keselowski. We've mentioned his slow start to the season and thought Brad could change that story, especially at a track he's won at 6 times before. He gets tangled in that first wreck, though. Green flag, Cup Series, the number 2 pit crew of Austin Cindric. He was running in the 20s before the final pit stop for fuel, and they put him out in front, which was key for him to get the win. Shout out to Jackman Pat Gray and fueler Andrew Lackey and the rest of the number 2 team. Now for discussions with Dave. First topic, last lap blues for ARCA and Xfinity. Cup Series changes the page with their super speedway racing. Was complaining at the beginning of the season how the yellow flag finishes at the Daytona 500 are taking away from the Cup Series speedway racing. And did they change that for Talladega? The Cup Series drivers put their big boy pants on, and they put on a show in Talladega. I was almost drooling at the TV in the closing laps. Such close and thrilling pack racing. That was not the case in the ARCA and Xfinity Series races. ARCA will go into their 1-lap overtime. The wreck happened mid-pack, just too early into that 1 lap, so I understand why they pulled that yellow. Just would have been a great drag race between Thad Moffitt and Lawless Allen. Still stinks we didn't get to see that. We have been talking this season about some of the controversies with NASCAR bringing out the yellow flag with wrecks on the last lap, with Connor Zilisch wrecking on the final lap. On the backstretch of the Xfinity race, NASCAR, I think, again brings out the premature yellow, with Jesse Love, Jeb Burton, and Austin Hill neck and neck, 3 wide. That final turn and that final trioval would have been awesome as a fan. But nonetheless, kind of stings that NASCAR took that what could have been finish away. Still, big kudos to the Cup Series drivers, keeping that race pretty much for the most part clean and very exciting racing. Second topic on discussions with Dave, does Cindric's win put pressure on those who are on the early playoff bubble? 100%. If Cindric doesn't get this win in Talladega, or say he doesn't have a win in this regular season, he would really be duking it out for the final couple spots on the bubble. His win in Dega, for those towards the back of the standings right now, Daniel Suárez, Brad Keselowski, Shane Van Gisbergen. Cindric's win really puts their butts closer to the fire. We'll see how the rest of the regular season transpires. Next topic on discussions with Dave, ARCA side of things. Venturini Motorsports announces its sale to Nitro Motorsports. As part of an agreement, Nitro Motorsports will assume full ownership of Venturini Motorsports and continue VMS' long-standing partnership with Toyota Gazoo Racing beginning October 15th, 2025. Current team owner Billy Venturini will remain on board as general manager for 1 year through the conclusion of the 2026 race season. Nitro Motorsports, founded by Nick Tucker, competes in a wide variety of racing disciplines, including National Go-Kart Program, Trans Am Series, Toyota GR Cup North America, and the ARCA Menard Series. With a family legacy in motorsports dating back to the 1950s, Venturini Motorsports has been a dominant presence in the ARCA Menard Series since 1982. VMS holds the distinction of being the longest tenured and most successful team in ARCA history, earning 107 all-time series wins. The majority of that success came after 2007 when Billy Venturini transitioned the team into the driver development powerhouse it has become today. An official partner of Toyota Gazoo Racing, Venturini Motorsports has played a key role in the development of some of today's top NASCAR Series talent, including Joey Logano, Christopher Bell, William Byron, Alex Bowman, Jesse Love, Corey Heim, and Christian Eckes. The team has claimed multiple ARCA Menard Series owner and driver championships with Christian Eckes, Sean Hingorani, and Jesse Love. Did overhear a conversation of Billy Venturini at the early January practice in Daytona, kind of complaining that he had 6 cars there. Thought that was his attitude or just the way he acted. Was truly surprised when I heard this news that they were selling, but congratulations to him and his family. Wish him the best in his retirement. And that wraps up this episode's edition of Discussions with Dave. Now we bring on our second driver guest of the show, driver Jesse Iwuji. Jesse is just not your average driver. He is co-owner of Jesse Iwuji Motorsports and an active officer in the U.S. Navy. Truly had a fantastic conversation with Jesse. Appreciate his service and his time. Here's what Jesse had to say preparing for Talladega. Next guest we have on the show is driver Jesse Iwuji. He's someone who wears a lot of different hats, including NASCAR driver, co-owner of Jesse Iwuji Motorsports, and U.S. Naval officer. Thank you for joining the show, Jesse, and thank you for your service.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. Was announced at the beginning of this year that Jesse Iwuji Motorsports would be having a strategic alliance with DGM Racing for the 2025 Xfinity season. You will be in the 91 this weekend at Talladega. This is your first start since 23 and your first with the DGM JIM Alliance. As a co-owner and driver, how do you feel with qualifying tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm really excited for this opportunity. It's my first time back at the track for me to actually run myself in a couple of years. So, last time I ran was Daytona, so I like the super speedways a lot. I like Talladega a lot. I like that, it's a track with multiple lanes and people are all over the place. It's a fun one that has some really cool, great finishes and things like that. And it's a track that anything can happen, right? Usually when I race, I want to, go race at places where I have the best shot of having the most success. Although at Talladega, you can also have really terrible days too as well. So, a lot can happen. But for me, it's just a really exciting opportunity to go represent Chevrolet, go represent E-Racing Association, go represent a great team. We had DGM and our Jesse Iwuji Motorsports team coming together this year and putting our resources and our efforts together to make this happen for this year. It's been super incredible. All the folks at DGM and everything they've done for years and years and years, being able to, remain in the sport and compete in the sport and build up the program. It's been really great. For us, at JIM, we're newer. And we've learned a lot of things. We've had some growing pains, but then we've managed to, stay around and do what we have to do to stay in the sport. So for all of us to come together and be able to go race, it's really cool. And for qualifying coming up, Friday, it should be pretty fun. No practice beforehand, so I'm just gonna kind of jump in there and go. But I believe we have a great car that we put together. We have a great group of people working on the cars and crew chiefing and all that. So it's going to be solid. I think it's going to be a solid effort. It's going to be good. Although I do see some weather in the forecast. I don't know how that's going to go.
Gotcha. Yeah. Never want to see rain on the NASCAR weekends for sure. You've had your best career finish at super speedways, as you just mentioned. You enjoy racing those. Historically and recently, DGM has showcased their speed at the bigger tracks. Does that give you confidence going into the weekend? And just as you mentioned, there is no practice. What are you doing to prepare for Talladega?
The team definitely has showed some good speed after super speedways. And when we ran Daytona earlier this year, we had some good finishes, some really good finishes. And the big thing with super speedways is just stay in the game, be smart, have a good car that can stay with the pack, and then just find a way to manage all the chaos that happens. And the team did really good, even though, we got beat up pretty good at the super speedway at Daytona, but we managed to stay with it. So that just kind of shows the resilience of the team and the resilience of the people who work very hard to make sure this program goes every single week. Now, for me personally, getting ready for Talladega, really the only thing you can do is just, use your simulator. That's about it. You can practice, practice how to, do a qualifying lap. You can go race some of the iRacing events that happen throughout the week, and you can just kind of give yourself a shot at working the draft and different things on there so that you can, see a lot of different scenarios that may possibly happen during the race weekend.
Awesome. I appreciate you touching that. Saw your paint scheme for this weekend. What an awesome and patriotic-looking car. Chevrolet Accessories sponsor you alongside the American Veterans Center's National Memorial Day Parade as they celebrate their 20th year anniversary, hosting that in D.C. As a U.S. naval officer, what does that partnership mean to you?
It means a lot. Number one, with Chevrolet. Chevrolet has been just an amazing brand, amazing company to be aligned with over the last few years now. And I've always been a huge proponent for Chevy. I have multiple Chevrolet vehicles, even before the partnership. So Chevrolet is awesome. The brand, what they've done in motorsports, everything about Chevy is just amazing. And obviously, the Chevys rule the world when it comes to the roads. So you see Chevy Tahoes, trucks, Chevy cars and sports cars, Corvettes, you name it, everything all over the place. Why? Because they're the best. So I'm super happy to be aligned with the best. Now, with the Memorial Day parade coming up in D.C., it's a huge parade. I think it's like over 300,000 people show up and line the streets to watch that parade. So it's going to be really awesome being part of that this year again. I've been part of it before, and it was really, really cool seeing. It almost reminds me of like the Macy's parade that they do, I believe during, I can't remember if it's Thanksgiving or New Year's, whatever it is. But it's a huge parade, and really excited to be part of it. And once again, we're moving into here pretty soon the military month of May. We're going to be honoring a lot of service members, especially with Memorial Day coming up. We're honoring those who served and given their lives for this country and everything they've done so that we could even be able to compete in sports like NASCAR. So freedom is not free. Unfortunately, people have to sacrifice a lot to make it happen. So me being a service member still currently serving. In fact, next week I will be doing annual training with the Navy all week long. So I'm going from my racing uniform to my Navy uniform. So that should be pretty fun. But I'm always here to help honor our service members because they've done so much so that we could do what we do today.
Exactly, and really do appreciate that so much. What are some of the skills that you developed in the Navy and have been able to apply to the roles and responsibilities as an owner and driver at the Xfinity level?
Being in the Navy, you learn a lot of leadership, but you also learn a lot of resourcefulness. You learn how to be a very, very resourceful person who can figure out how to make things happen with a little. And that's racing right there, motorsports. Sometimes in motorsports you don't have access to everything you need. Sometimes you don't have every resource, you don't have every dollar you need, you don't have every person you need. Sometimes you just have a little bit and you have to make a lot happen. And we learned that in the Navy. We learned that time and time again. We sometimes don't have the proper direction we need, but we still got to accomplish the mission. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned in the military, even at the Naval Academy. And being able to translate that over to the motorsports world allowed me to get into motorsports. When I was first getting into racing, there is no book or instructions or school that teaches you everything you need to do and shows you the exact way to get into racing at the highest levels in NASCAR like that. There is nothing that shows you that. You just got to figure it out, especially when you don't have that many resources. Like, I don't come from money. I don't come from anything. I just came from a background of being resourceful as heck. So, all those lessons I've learned from the Navy has really helped pay off to get me to where I'm at today. I'm not going to sit here and say I know everything. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm the best at whatever. but I'm not. All I know is I'm just someone who's resourceful, who can get in and find a way to stay in.
Awesome. I really appreciate you touching on that. That's very interesting and says a lot about yourself. Thank you so much for your time, Jesse, and best of luck this weekend, man.
Thank you so much. It's going to be an amazing weekend. I'm looking forward to representing Chevrolet E-Racing Association, the Memorial Day Parade in D.C., and then all the great folks at DGA and JIM for coming together and putting together this program for this year so that we can make a lot of great stuff happen. So there's a lot of people out there who are looking forward to watching this race weekend. Hopefully we can tune in on CW Network, and it's going to be a good one.
Awesome. Can't wait to watch it. Hope to hear from you before the end of the season. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Just a super cool conversation with Jesse. Really goes beyond motorsports, too. Hope everyone enjoyed that. Now for NASCAR history time. Texas, 2000, DirecTV 500. It was a banner day for some of the biggest names in NASCAR history, as both the Petty and Earnhardt families celebrated milestones at Texas. 19-year-old Adam Petty became the fourth-generation athlete in professional sports as he qualified 33rd for the event. Petty's father, Kyle, unfortunately failed to qualify in the race in the number 44. The stars almost aligned to see the father and son duo on the track together after all. Elliott Sadler, driving the number 21 for Wood Brothers, bruised his shoulder during a mid-race accident. As the team attempted to fix the car in the garage area, the elder Petty was poised to take the 21 car back in a relief effort for Sadler. Less than 100 laps later, the younger Petty unfortunately blew an engine before the Wood Brothers car could return to the track, nixing the dream of seeing the two share the track together. The 21 returned to the track with Petty behind the wheel, in turn creating a reunion for the duo that worked together from 85 to 88. Sadly, the family patriarch Lee passed away 3 days after the race at the age of 86. It turned out to be the only NASCAR Cup Series start for the 19-year-old Adam Petty, who tragically passed away 37 days later in New Hampshire. Rookie driver Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s historic day came at the same track where he captured his first Xfinity Series victory in '98. Earnhardt Jr. also captured his first NASCAR Cup Series victory in just his 12th start, the bested previous series record of 16, which was held by his father, Dale Earnhardt Sr., who won his first race in '79. Earnhardt Sr. rushed to victory lane following the race to greet his son as he was beaming with pride as Jr. climbed from the car. Now for the drivers to look out for Texas. Truck Series. The trucks will get the Texas racing action on Friday evening. Stuart Friesen won this race in 2022. He's 10th in the standings currently. Corey Heim in his 3 career starts at Texas finished all of them in the top 10, with one of them being a second-place finish last year. Can Tyler Ankrum keep his hot streak going, knocking off another win at a track he has 4 top 10 finishes? Ty Majeski has 2 top 5 finishes in his 4 previous starts. He should be a contender as well. Longtime Truck Series driver Grant Enfinger hasn't won at Texas, but has finished in the top 5 separate occasions. Now, Xfinity Series. Keep saying any of these races, those Haas factory Xfinity drivers will break through. Could it be in Texas with Sam Mayer? He won there last year with Junior Motorsports. Brenden Jones is the top Toyota in the standings, currently in 6th. He has 7 career top 10s at Texas. Justin Allgaier has been a rocket at Texas, but no career wins. That could change soon. Justin has 5 top 5 finishes at Texas since 2021. Ryan Sieg almost pulled off his first win in an ultra-close finish last year in Texas. He should be contending once again. Now, the drivers to look out for the Cup Series in Texas. William Byron won here in 2023 and 3rd last year. 7 career top 10s there since 2018. Hendrick Motorsports teammate to Byron, Chase Elliott, won here last year and will be looking to get back in victory lane. Kyle Busch has won 4 times in Texas. He'll be looking to get the 8 back to the checkered flag first. Denny Hamlin has 3 career wins at Texas. Can he keep that hot streak going for the 11? Now for Fast Davies bets for Texas. Putting this episode out early in the week, so not all the odds are out, but here are my picks. Truck Series, Caden Honeycutt, top 3. Xfinity Series, top 3 for Ryan Sieg. Got wrecked in Dega, but looking to rebound at a track he finished second at last year. Cup Series, Carson Hocevar won in Texas at the truck level. Top 10 or top 5 will be solid odds for sure. Now for trivia answer time. This week's question is, NASCAR comes to the high banks of Talladega twice each season. Who was the last driver to win both Talladega races in a season? Answer, winning both races in 2007, the Rainbow Warrior, Jeff Gordon. Now for our predictions for Texas. Truck Series, Heim has to get out of his funk any race. I'm saying Texas. Listen to me now. Since his last win in Vegas, he's finished 3rd, 6th, 3rd, and 8th. He's contending for races, not just riding in the back. And with the second place finish last year, I think that's the right combo that Heim needs right now. Give me Corey Heim to win Truck Series Texas. Xfinity, Justin Allgaier, think he will finally get that Texas win he's been looking for. His career stats there are just too good to pass up. Now, Cup Series, with 4 top 10s this year and a bunch of wins at Texas at the Cup level, will it be time for the lucky 8 to get back in victory lane? I sure do. Give me Kyle Busch to win. That brings us to the end of this week's episode. As always, we're sponsored by Magical Travel with Dave, a.k.a. Disney Dave Weichert. He will be able to help you with all your Disney and Universal vacation needs. He can be reached at DisneyDaveW@Verizon.net. Please make sure you follow all the Splash of Gas social medias. Facebook, Instagram, and now YouTube are all Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert. Thank you so much for everyone tuning in. Really hope everyone likes the interviews we had with Jeb Burton and Jesse Iwuji. Till next time, everybody. Splash of Gas out.